All right. Welcome to another week of Power 10 Sports Talk. This is now week 12. This week it is myself, Andrew Gibb.
Brandon Ravine, per the usual.
I'm John Sowko.
I'm Brady Gibb.
All right. And before we start the show, remember to follow us on Twitter at Power 10 Sports, follow us on Twitch at Power 10 Sports, and follow us on YouTube. The link is usually included whenever we post the video on our Twitter. Let's get right into it. College football playoff rankings were released, and I don't think we'll deviate much from that, but I'll make my picks for the playoffs, and I want to hear your guys's. For the Sugar Bowl, I got Alabama, Clemson. I think Alabama is our clear-cut one, pending any major injury or upset. I think they stay at the one spot. They've played more games than Ohio State, so I think they're going to keep that spot. Clemson with that one loss probably takes that fourth spot, being the only one-loss team, but that one loss was a really close game, and I think it's tough to give it to anyone else. And I think Clemson wins it. I do think they are the better overall team, and they probably would keep that one spot had they not had that loss to Notre Dame. Rose Bowl, I do think, is going to be Ohio State, Notre Dame. They're probably two of the best teams that are really close to taking that one spot from Alabama. But I do think OSU, with that shorter schedule, is going to be wanting that Clemson rematch, and that's probably been the only thing on their mind thus far is we want Clemson. We lost that game off something really tight, and they want that revenge game. So my championship game is going to be Ohio State, Clemson. I'm going to take Ohio State winning it, like I said. I think that loss to Clemson last year is still weighing on them, and they're going, we're not going to make the same mistakes we did last year. These controversial calls are going to go our way, and I think they win it on that big game. Brandon?
Wow. That's a tough act to follow right there. You were prepared. No, I truly see Clemson and Notre Dame facing off in a semifinal. You know, I think that the playoff committee would love to see that game happen again. They'd love to see Trevor Lawrence healthy, and that game could have a lot of meaning on who would win the national championship. Notre Dame, who's been known to flop in big situations in the last few years. I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so it's hard to say that, but it's true. I mean, there's been a lot of times where Notre Dame's had the spotlight and they choke. So I truly think that'll be a good matchup. Man, I'd love to see Notre Dame win that. Then on the other side of things, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being like an Alabama-Ohio State matchup in the semifinal as well. Could they pull that off? I don't know. It just depends on Alabama and if they win out and if Ohio State wins out, because if that happens, they'll be 1-2 and they wouldn't face each other. It'd end up being, like you said, with like a Notre Dame, Ohio State in a semifinal and like a Clemson, Alabama. So it just kind of all weighs in. I truly think I would love to see a Notre Dame, Ohio State championship game. Would the playoff committee ever allow that? No. So I think it'll end up being, like you said, similar to a repeat, but I'll take Alabama, Ohio State in the championship game with Ohio State winning.
All right.
So here's my thinking on this. At number one, I have Alabama. I don't see them losing. I think the SEC championship will be against Florida, and I think that may be a really good match to watch.
Yeah.
And that will determine, but even if they lose to Florida, I don't see them falling out. At 4, I have Cincinnati. And here's my reasoning. They probably do, although they do have 2 top 25 wins, they do have the strongest or the weakest strength of schedule of all the top 4 teams, of all the contenders. They have recently bumped their game to Tulsa back a week, opening December 12th. BYU has December 12th. There's a lot of rumbling amongst ADs saying that they may throw together an impromptu game. So that would be a top 10 win for either team.
That would be huge.
That would be a big game.
That would be a massive game with college playoff implications. That could be 3 top 25 with 1 top 10 win for Cincinnati. And I don't see how you could leave them out if they run the table.
But is that with or without a conference championship?
They do have to win a conference championship against a very good team like SMU or Tulsa.
There you go.
Yeah. I think you probably end up with SMU, but yeah, I think that they probably would win that.
Tulsa has the head-to-head matchup win, though. So if they finish with the same, but I think it very well could be SMU a rematch there. For my 2 and 3, I have Clemson, Notre Dame. They would both either be 1-1 going into this. This would be the rematch of an ACC championship game. I'm not sure if they want a part 3, but they do need a rubber match. So I'm giving it to them in the semifinal there.
Right.
I don't
think they'll get an ACC championship.
No, that would be. I think Clemson wins. I think that they need a tiebreaker. I think they split 1-1, and they go into the semifinal with the 1 game apiece. I don't think Ohio State makes the playoff. I have them at 5 in my rankings. That's simply because they don't have enough games right now.
Okay.
They've already canceled a game, and that leaves them with razor-thin margins. I think 7 is the bare minimum considered for the college football playoff. So if they fall below 7 at all, they're not even considered for a spot.
Yeah, fair enough.
With the way COVID's trending, I can see 1 or 2 games getting canceled easily.
Yeah.
So they are my first out. I have Bama versus Clemson in the national championship. I think Bama takes UC and Clemson takes Notre Dame in the rematch.
All right. Brady?
For my Sugar Bowl, I have Ohio State and Clemson. I think that it'll be a bit tough to stop Trevor Lawrence, but Justin Fields will do whatever he can to get their redemption game on from last year. And then for my Rose Bowl, I have Notre Dame and Alabama. I think Notre Dame will win. They shut down Clemson, a pretty good game against Boston College, so I think they'll advance and they'll play Ohio State in the finals.
All right.
And then I got Ohio State won the championship.
All right, keeping it simple.
You can't tell we're Ohio State fans.
Yeah, it's Sowko who goes to OSU is the one that's like, I think they're my first one out. Everyone else, they're going to win it all. All right.
I can see that changing depending on how Indiana plays, and if there's a lot of talk about Pac-12 voting to expand to non-conference games too. They had originally planned a conference-only schedule. Maybe Ohio State can get in on a USC or someone, or an Oregon.
I think they were supposed to play in Oregon this year, so I think they might try and get that one back.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll talk about the other 4 big bowl games. Cotton Bowl, I'm taking Coastal Carolina, BYU. I think Indiana's lost day bumps them out. And I think Coastal Carolina, it's one of those ones where they've gotten so big this year. Yeah, they don't have the hardest games, but they're big and everyone's wanting them. And I think that you give them a spot and you give them it against BYU, who is undefeated, but they are playing nobodies for the most part. They aren't playing really big schools and not a lot of hard games. So I think you give them Coastal Carolina. It creates a good matchup. It's that good low-ranking one that you're going to have before your playoffs and your first out games. I take Coastal Carolina versus BYU in the Cotton Bowl.
That's for a BYU team that's, definitely surpassed some expectations this year. They're not the team of the past, but they're also, they're still finding their way to try and become a consistent top 20 team again. For the last few years, they floated in and out of that top 25, and they're truly trying to find their consistency. But I think BYU, I don't know if they give them that game. I agree with you. They definitely give Coastal Carolina that game just because they're Coastal Carolina. They're theoretically a nobody,
Yeah. It's the
nothing
underdog
against
story.
that. Yeah,
it's the Rocky.
Exactly.
It's the Creed.
Exactly.
It's the nobody expected you to be here. We're going to give you the game. Let's see if you can step.
There's only one group of 5 at large spot, though. So if you're saying Cincinnati doesn't make it, it's either Cincinnati or Coastal Carolina.
It looks like they were all at larges to me. So I think, especially with this year being odd, I think that you are going to do some unorthodox things, like giving teams without a conference or those group of 5 teams those games, because they've stepped up where the Pac-12 has had to take a back seat, where the Big Ten has really kind of underperformed to most people's expectations. So I think this
may be different for COVID this year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this might be the year where you're starting to see these group of 5 schools step up to the plate and knock it out of the park. So yeah, there is a chance that I could be all wrong. We only get Coastal Carolina, we only get Cincy, we only get BYU. I'd be sad about that, but I think this is the year where you go, we're going to change it up, and we're going to give it to these teams that have stepped up in this trying time.
Exactly. Which is why I think it'll be Coastal Carolina versus Marshall.
Oh, that would be a good one.
So I think that would be a great one. I think those are two trying teams. I think both have made themselves kind of in the spotlight this year, given everything that's happened. Marshall, this is what, their 60th anniversary?
Yeah, 60th anniversary of the plane crash.
Of the plane crash.
Like I think that would be a big testament to show that this university is still around. I think it gives Coastal Carolina a really good opportunity to say, hey, we're a university. And guess what? They're all better in Akron, which I'm an alum of. So
I didn't want to talk about that game. I was going to try and avoid it all night.
About any other small college, because mine is probably the worst again this year in the FBS. So it's okay.
That's okay. So we're doing Fiesta Bowl right now, right?
Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. In my Cotton Bowl, I have Wisconsin and Oklahoma State. These are Wisconsin. They've had a couple games canceled already. I don't think they're same with Ohio State. They've actually had more games canceled though.
Yeah.
I just don't think they get there, but I still think they deserve a New Year's Six spot. They are playing very well. Graham Mertz looks like a Heisman contender. Maybe not this year, but in the next coming years. He looks like the quarterback to lead Wisconsin to maybe a college football playoff spot. And then Oklahoma State, they have one loss. However, they are a very strong team. I think they may finish with a Big 12 championship. And I think this will be a good matchup to watch. Wisconsin always gets the Cotton Bowl, it seems, and I give it to them there.
All right. Brady, who you taking for the Cotton Bowl?
I'm going with Andrew. I got Coastal Carolina and BYU. Coastal Carolina just seems to show what they can do every week, and BYU plays nobodies. So it's a good matchup.
And it's not that they're terrible nobodies. It's just they're too small for the wins to be considered quality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, they put down on Boise State.
Yeah, Boise State. That's the thing. I would say that Boise State win was your big win, but I think you need another big win to be considered for that top 4 spot, and they just don't have it.
Which very likely they could be playing in Oregon since Pac-12 is expanding their schedule.
That could be a very real possibility. But as of right now, I don't think they have the quality wins to get that top 4 spot or even a 5 or 6 spot. But since Brandon, you brought it up, we're going to talk about the Akron-Kent game real quick. 69-35.
Hey,
it was close. It was
close for those first few quarters. I was like, is Akron really?
Yeah, I was like, are they going to hang in there and win? And then I was like, oh, Kent's pulling away.
Nope.
Kent's really pulling away with this one.
There was no chance. As soon as that third quarter started, Kent State coming out guns a-blazing, there was no chance for Akron.
Yeah.
Do they win a game this year? I don't know. Do they win a game this year or not?
I think you might get a win. OU beat them too. Yeah, I don't know who your win's going to come from. I think you get a win. I don't know who it's going to come from, but I think you can still pull out a win maybe.
Can be Ball State.
You think Ball State's going to be theirs?
It's going
to be anybody, it seems like it might be Ball State. They're looking really out of form this year.
I don't believe they're playing Ball State this year.
They're not.
I'm opening up right now. Akron's
they got Buffalo, Miami, Bowling Green.
Bowling Green might be your win. Bowling Green's also 0-3. I think that's the week where you can get the win.
They only got 3 more games.
Yeah.
Miami, Buffalo, and Bowling Green. That's it.
Yeah, I think them being Bowling Green for Ball State.
Because they're playing MAC East is playing their own league, and then MAC West is playing their own league, and they're not crossing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
so that's why
the one win.
Ball State game is canceled.
All right, so we'll go on to the next bowl game. I won't focus on Akron too long. Peach Bowl. I got Cincy, Florida in this. I think that Florida? I think the Peach Bowl being that one game, I think that goes to your first out, your 5-6 game. If you're going to do big games, do all your big games on New Year's Day. Try and keep people on their TV on that first day of the new year. I think Cincy is one. Yeah, they're barely going to miss that spot into the playoffs. But I think next year, if they keep playing at this level, they can get it. But for right now, I'm going to give them the Peach Bowl against Florida. Florida, again, very impressive team. Second best in the SEC. And I think that they earn that Peach Bowl spot against Cincinnati on that New Year's Day game. I think it'd be really good, and it'd definitely be the one that I'd want to tune into the most.
All right. Oh, Brandon.
Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go. This one I have BYU and Indiana. I think Indiana's a very surprising team this year, and I think they may finish the season undefeated, save losses to Ohio State. But even with a loss to someone as good as Ohio State, I don't think they dropped them too far. I still think they deserve a New Year's Six. And this is where I leave BYU. I give them my spot since Cincinnati makes the playoffs.
All right.
I think this is a very interesting one to watch. This is two teams that no one expected to be top 10 caliber, especially Indiana. And I think they like the storyline, they give it to them here.
Yeah, this is one of like two teams you definitely wouldn't think for you of two teams that nobody I think saw being this good this year.
Here's my issue though: is as soon as Ohio State pounds Indiana this week, which is what I think we're all thinking.
Yeah, they are a 30-point favorite. It's tough to say Indiana isn't going to get bumped more than like 6 spots in this.
And to me, I think all things being equal, I think Florida has a better chance at that bowl game than Indiana. Because if Indiana,
I have Florida in there.
So I would have Florida, Cincinnati. I don't think Cincinnati makes the top 4. I just don't think they'll give it to them. So I think it would end up being Florida, Cincinnati in that bowl game. I just don't think Indiana will be given it if they have just a tough loss against Ohio State.
Yep.
See, I think it's going to be a very close game. I don't buy the 30-point over.
Yeah.
But I think if Indiana can play Ohio State close twice, they establish themselves as for real. They don't even need a win.
Is the key for them to get your spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if they're even able to beat them today, they still lose in the championship game, I think. But
yeah,
I think that's deserving of a top 10. I have Indiana, BYU at 9 and 10 in my rankings right now.
All right. So Brandon, you're taking same as me, Florida Cincy for that Peach Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So Brady, what do you got?
I'm going with Brandon and Andrew.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had them in my mind yesterday.
I'm taking Florida versus Indiana now.
Yeah, I might change mine up now. I'm not so sure about this. All right, Brady, why are you taking Cincy, Florida?
Florida. All right, and you already explained why. So
they're just the best teams, and you're gonna have all those big games New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Fiesta Bowl. I'm gonna have a repeat of last year. I got Wisconsin, Oregon playing each other again in a bowl game.
Oh.
I think that it is one where Wisconsin, they have those games out, but they're really good. And I think Oregon is one is kind of getting slept on because that Pac-12 just has a lack of games. I think Oregon get all their wins out in the Pac-12, and they'll get that bowl game spot on January 2nd. I'm expecting to see Wisconsin, Oregon. I think it's going to be another close game, but definitely is going to be another good one of teams that are playing on a shortened schedule, trying to go, hey, we may have had less games, but we're still just as competitive as everyone else. But yeah, I'm going to take Wisconsin, Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl.
So if you take those, if I switch mine from last and say we got Indiana, Florida, I think Cincinnati still gets one. I think they have to get one no matter what, based on how they've played this year. So last game, I'll switch it back. We'll do Indiana and Florida for that one. This one, I truly think Cincinnati's deserving of it. And I think, you're looking at a team that potentially has the route to be a top 10 team. So that's what you got to check your boxes on. I think Oklahoma State's a good contender at that. I think Georgia's a good contender at that, even though they're 4-2. But I truly think you got to end up going with, an Oregon or a Wisconsin in that game. I think they give it to Wisconsin. So I would go with Wisconsin versus Cincinnati.
That'd be a pretty good one.
All right. For my Fiesta Bowl, I have Georgia and OSU. I have OSU at my 5. And then Georgia, I think, will miss an SEC championship game. I think that goes to Alabama, Florida. But I think they benefit by staying in the top 10 by avoiding an Alabama loss there.
Yeah, another Alabama loss there.
Yeah, another Alabama loss.
All right, Brady, who are you taking for the Fiesta Bowl?
All right, this might be a surprise, but I got Liberty, Oregon.
All right, why are you taking them?
All right, well, I think Liberty has shown why they should be a top 10 contender. And Oregon is just Oregon. They look good, they play good.
All right. Keep it simple. All right, last one is this affiliate game. The Orange Bowl, I'm taking the U playing A&M. I think A&M ends up getting that spot that they give to an SEC Big Ten. And since I already have Florida and Wisconsin out with other bowl games, I think it defaults down to A&M. And I think the U being the one team that isn't the best ACC team that isn't in the playoffs, I think it's going to be the U and A&M. And I think that game might go a bit in the U's favor. But I think overall that one's going to be a lot of heavy defense.
I'd go with Wisconsin and wait, I'm sorry.
For the Orange Bowl?
Repeat that.
You switched it around. Now you lost track.
No, I did.
Switched on the wrong spots there.
Okay. Oregon. Correct myself. Oregon, and I think Miami. I think that would be a great matchup. I think those are two teams that are on, obviously on each side of the United States that could really show why they really deserve to be a top 10 team at the end of the day. I think it's really tough for those two teams to really play a competitive schedule year in and year out. So I think it would be a great chance for them to show that, they're deserving of a top 10 placement.
All right. For my Orange Bowl, I have Miami versus Florida.
All right.
I have
the in-state
bringing
battle.
the Orange State or the Citrus State to the Orange Bowl. Miami is in a Georgia situation where Clemson and Notre Dame get the championship, but Miami wins by avoiding a loss there to Clemson or Notre Dame. And I think Florida, unfortunately, loses to Alabama in an SEC championship game, keeping them from a playoff. But you can't fault them. They look great. Kyle Trask is a Heisman candidate. And I think they're a phenomenal team right now. I think this will be a very good game, an in-state rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. All right, and Brady?
All right, I'm going to change it up. I got A&M versus versus OSU.
That can't happen.
Oh, it can't? Okay.
Orange Bowl is an affiliate, Brady. It can either be SEC Big Ten against an ACC.
Oh, well, then I got Texas A&M versus the U.
All right. Yeah, like sometimes these affiliates make no sense, especially with that one. It's like ACC / Notre Dame versus the SEC or Big Ten.
Yeah.
But
all about money. It's all about money.
It's all about the money. It's all about them Benjamins, baby. All right, let's get into the picks now. I think those bowl games are making some good laughs. Sadly, Clemson, Florida State got canceled this morning, so we won't talk about that one. First up for the noon games, we got Florida at Vanderbilt. Florida's averaging like 500-plus yards a game, and Vandy is allowing 450 on defense. That is a bad matchup to have your Vanderbilt. Trask is a Heisman candidate. I'm going to take the Gators winning this one big. Give me the good old Gator chomp.
Florida, I agree. Florida's got this one in the bag. I mean, 0-6, excuse me. Vanderbilt just looks just awful this year, and I don't think there's a chance. So I got Florida.
Yeah, like Andrew said, I said Kyle Trask is a Heisman candidate. He is playing at the top of his game right now, and Vanderbilt's defense is giving up 450-plus yards a game. I think Kyle Trask goes off in a big win.
Yeah, I got Florida. They beat Georgia, and Kyle Trask is going to show he's a Heisman contender for a reason.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I don't think anyone is going to be taking Vandy. I think somebody might give like a pity 100 and just be like, if it hits, I'm going to be winning big. But yeah, it's tough to take Vandy, who is they're in a Kansas situation where I think they're a basketball school first and foremost, and that's all they're good at. I think to have a good football team, they're going to have major overhauls. But yeah, so Florida across the board. Next up, we got App State at Coastal Carolina. Grayson McCall has 16 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Oh, wow.
App State defense is good, but I think that teal turf has some magical ability in it. And I think we're going to see a big Chanticleer win this week. Give me Coastal Carolina with the big win.
These things in the top corner disappear.
Yeah, Brandon is entertaining himself with these emojis in the corner.
I started clicking on these things. I'm like, y'all there one. No, get rid of it. Coastal Carolina game correct. I got a little bit.
Yes.
I had Coastal Carolina winning this one as well. It's according to the line, it's 3.5 right now. Is the spread? So I think it could be a tight one, but I think Coastal Carolina's got this. They're going to prove that they're number 15, and they're going to stay number 15 after this win.
Yeah.
All right. App State, Coastal Carolina. I have Appalachian State. Although Coastal Carolina is ranked right now, App State's still 6-1, and they are the premier of this conference. Coastal Carolina wants to prove they can hang with the big boys. App State is the big boy. App State has won 4 straight Sun Belt, Fun Belt conference championships. They're 45-7 in league play since joining. They are who Coastal Carolina wants to be in this conference. They've finished ranked 3 of the last 5 seasons also.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
All right,
They're 4 of the last 5.
I got the Chanticleers. I think they'll come back from that week they had off, prepared and capitalize on every possession they have.
Yeah, I'm excited more than anything to see this teal turf on TV. The teal turf, the crazy jerseys, the big celebrations after the game. They're going.
I love seeing the smaller programs getting televised.
Oh yeah,
I love getting them exposure.
And they do stuff that no other school does, like with the weird colored turf, the cool jerseys, the weird celebrations, like. Because they don't have traditions like Ohio State and Clemson, all them do. So they create their own, and somehow they're way better because they're new and they're innovative with them. I think Coastal Carolina had their athletic trainers dress up as like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, and bust through tables after the win 2 weeks ago, I think. I'm like, come on, that's how you got to do it. That's how you celebrate these.
I was watching a MAC game, Eastern Michigan. They build a little cinder block wall and tear it down with sledgehammers instead of like high school teams run through a banner or something.
This is how you get
I
the
think
MAC
that
games.
is bad.
Yeah, that's
Just
about
a
all
lot
I
of
can do.
alcohol.
All right, so Sox and Deviant take App State in this week. Next up, we got Northern Alabama at BYU. BYU is back to playing garbage cans for the rest of the season.
Yep.
I think that they need a big game this year to get up higher in the rankings, because just winning these games isn't going to be enough. I think you need to have a big game win, and beating teams like North Alabama isn't it. BYU is going to have a big win this week, and I think the rest of their season, no struggles. But I think nobody's expecting you to have a struggle whenever you're playing these very small teams. So I'm going to take the Cougars getting a big win this week.
Yeah, I'm with you on BYU. I'm on that train. I mean, they currently, according to ESPN, they have a 99.8% chance of winning this one, which I think might be a little low. Nothing against the Blake Deaver, who's the quarterback for North Alabama, but, I mean, he's got 1 TD to 2 interceptions this year. His passing rate isn't bad, though, with 46 of 65 for 383 yards. It's not many yards. His completion rate's not bad. But you look on the other side with Wilson for BYU, who's 166 at 221, 2,500 yards, 22 TDs, and 2 interceptions. I mean, I think this is just going to be a runaway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think BYU takes this pretty handily. Zach Wilson is probably my Heisman front runner right now with Trevor Lawrence missing games. And
Fields playing on a shortened schedule.
Yeah, Fields playing on a shortened schedule. I think he's putting up the stats, and he continues to stat pad this week.
I think he gets the invite to the Heisman House, but doesn't get it.
Yeah, I think it's that weak conference thing that keeps you out of the Heisman House. But yeah, he's definitely a candidate, and I think if he does play another year in college and they do give him a harder schedule next year, he could win it.
Yep.
All right, Brady.
I'll make it short and sweet. BYU, North Alabama has a 0.2 chance to win.
Hey, that's still a chance. So you're saying there's
a chance.
All right, so BYU across the board. Next up, we got Cincy at UCF. This is a matchup, I think, of the new national champions if they stay undefeated versus the old national champions of the American. Cincy has a good shutdown defense, but UCF is averaging 619 yards a game. That's insane. Like 619.
A lot of yards.
That is crazy. I think that Cincy defense is going to be able to keep it close and maybe shut them down on offense. And I think they have a better matchup on Cincy's offense to their defense to get the win. It's going to be close, but I'm going to take the Bearcats getting a win this week.
A little note here is that it's being played in Florida. I think it's a bonus for both teams. It's going to be a warmer game down there. I know there's predicted to be a lot of weather up here, like rain and sleet this weekend. So I think that's definitely a bonus for both teams. I think coaching-wise, I think Fickell really leads this team on the defensive side of things, and I think Cincinnati will shut down UCF.
We talk about it every week. Cincinnati's defense is elite, and I don't know if they stop UCF's offense, but they slow it down very much. And I favor the Cincinnati offense to UC defense to the UCF offense versus UC defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Brady.
Yeah, Cincinnati's like the Oregon. If you really made the state, if you look good, you play good. But I think they'll overcome that. They're not projected to win, and they'll come out with the big win this week.
All right, Cincy across the board. All right, next up we got.
Hold on, I just want to say, congratulations to UCF. If you look at all the Group 5 teams, independent teams in the top 25, in the top 10, I don't think it's possible without UCF's run from 16 to 18.
Yeah, that run they had definitely helped these Group 5 schools make it.
35 straight wins, and you
of
barely
applause
cracked
for,
the top 10.
UCF for opening the door for all of these smaller schools to make it in. All right, but yeah, I don't think this is their week.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is a UCF team that started off top 10, though.
Yes, they did, but I think
if we remember all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we got Wisconsin at Northwestern. Wisconsin proved last week that 2-week break meant nothing to them. I think that this is the week that they're going to do the same thing they did last week. They're put their foot on the gas and they're not going to let up for all 4 quarters. This is one, I think we're going to get the big win because we need to prove that those 2 weeks would have been a guaranteed win anyway. So I think beating a ranked Northwestern really helps you out. And it's definitely one, I think, if you can score as much as I think they will, it's going to essentially be, hey, we may miss 2 weeks, but those 2 weeks were pretty much locks in our favor. We've decimated everyone else. We really deserve a higher ranking. So I'm going to take the Badgers winning this one big.
Now, on the other side of things, I think this is my upset of the week. I think Northwestern beats Wisconsin. This is a home game for Northwestern. It's going to be a battle of defense. Both teams are averaging points allowed per game. Northwestern's allowing 14. Wisconsin's allowing 9. So I think it's going to be a battle of defensive will. And I think Northwestern pulls this one out, and I think that both drops them to around a 15 seed. You know, it jumps Northwestern a little bit and drops Wisconsin. So I got Northwestern.
Yeah, surprisingly, Northwestern is 4-0. Wisconsin's only 2-0.
Yeah.
I think this is a measuring stick game for Northwestern. Northwestern has a few good wins against a strong Purdue team that almost should have won last night, and an Iowa team that was very brutal to Minnesota last week. I think they're a very good team, but I still think Wisconsin's the better team, especially with Graham Mertz leading the way.
Yeah.
And I would like to say I did pick Wisconsin pending Graham Mertz's...
No. We're not doing this again. I told you at the end of it, you have to pick one, and you said, all right, Michigan. And then you kept putting all those stipulations on. I was like, end it, pick one, and you said Michigan.
We'll let the fans decide.
Oh, the fans will decide, and they'll decide my favorite. Take me to court as we recount. I'm going to win.
I demand a recount.
I will still be right.
Fraud.
All right, Brady, who are you taking for this game?
Make it political.
I got Wisconsin. They haven't really got to play much, but this will be the game that they're showing that they're worth watching.
All right. So Sox going to be taking the upset in this one. All right, next up we got UCLA at Oregon. I think that these teams are pretty evenly matched on offense, but that Ducks defense is doing just a little bit better. And I think that's what's going to – they're keeping teams out of the end zone. That's the big thing. They may be allowing yards, but I think they're keeping them out of the end zone, and that's all that matters in a game. Are you keeping teams out of the end zone? I think they're doing a really good job at that, and I'm going to take Oregon with a close game win today.
Yeah, I truly think this could be a good one to watch. I know UCLA is unranked, but Oregon and UCLA, given all the measures, they're pretty similar programs. So I think this could be a good one to watch. I think Oregon pulls it off, but it could be a close one.
Yeah.
I'm taking Oregon as well. The Chip Kelly homecoming. I think Oregon is the better team. I think UCLA, they are looking to move on from Chip Kelly soon.
Yeah.
All right. I got Oregon. They look good. They play good. one of the teams that just started playing, but they ran up the score on both teams they played, and they have a really good running and passing game. So.
All right. So cross-border Oregon. All right. Next up, we got Kentucky at Alabama. Alabama's got that number 1 spot for a reason, and Najee Harris is an animal. Like he's definitely a Heisman candidate. That went up there with Trask, up there with Wilson, up there with Lawrence, up there with Fields. I think that it has been a long time since we've seen a running back get the Heisman. I think Najee Harris makes a really good case to get it, and this is going to be a week where I think that Kentucky doesn't have the defense to stop him. He's probably going to be running through them, and he's going to be going, I want the Heisman. We haven't had one since Derrick Henry. I'm going to be the next one to get it. So Crimson Tide's going to get another big win on the board this week and keep that number 1 spot going.
They'll be 7-0. There's no question. Alabama.
Yeah, I'm going Alabama as well. Kentucky's played a few teams pretty good, but they haven't come away with the win. I don't expect that to change against a better team in Alabama.
All right, so Kentucky's another team that should just stick with basketball. Yeah,
well, actually, they didn't have anyone go top 10 in the NBA draft.
It's surprising.
Which was odd, yeah.
Are the tides changing?
Since 2000,
yeah.
No Kansas, no Kentucky, no UNC, no Duke in the top 10 of the NBA
For the first
draft.
time since 2000, yeah.
Yeah, before. But yeah, you're right, Brady. They are a very good basketball school, not really good at football. All right, so we're taking Alabama across the board. Next up, we got Kansas State at Iowa State. I think Iowa State proved that week 1 loss to the Raging Cajuns was a fluke, and it isn't going to happen again. They're looking like one of the best teams we've seen in the Big 12 for a while. I'm going to take the Cyclones win this one. I don't know how close it's going to be. It is Big 12. It could be a low score. It could be a barn burn. But I'm going to take the Cyclones win this one.
This can be a close one. I really think home field advantage plays toward Iowa's hands. I think Iowa State wins this one. It's going to be a close one. I agree. So it could be a barn burner, and I think it will be. So I'm going to take Iowa State in a close one.
I'm also going Iowa State here. I'm not going to deviate. I think Iowa State has some ground to make up on Oklahoma State, and they have to separate themselves from Texas. And I think this is a good week to do it against Kansas State, which is a good but not elite team in the Big 12. They're probably 5th to 6th best behind Texas.
Yeah.
I got Iowa State. I think both teams are mediocre. They'll do good at times, but I think that Iowa State will come out on top, make that big win.
All right, so cross board again. All right, next up we got Tennessee at Auburn. Tennessee's on a 4-loss streak, and I think that starts to affect your team mentality a little bit. And I don't think it affects your mentality of defeatist or that you're an underdog and you're going to win every game big. I think it affects your mentality in that you start making simple mistakes and you start losing the fundamentals. I think they're on pretty equal ground statistically with Auburn. This could be a close game, but I think that 4-loss streak is going to hang in Tennessee's head, and they're going to be making simple mistakes all game. That's going to start hurting them. And I think they lose by a touchdown to Auburn. It's the simple mistakes that are going to get you, and that 4-loss mentality is really going to start messing with your head.
I think Auburn really tries to make a statement here today and say that the Iron Bowl is going to be worth something this year. But I truly think I don't see how Tennessee can bounce back. I think Auburn's the team here that's trying to say, hey, we're actually worth a top 15 spot and we're worth a bowl game. So I think Auburn's really going to fight here for really the rest of their season is to play for a bowl game. And obviously they're not playing for a top 4 spot this year, but they're playing for that bowl game. And I think that's worth it for them to push them. I think Tennessee with 4 straight losses, I just don't see them coming out ready to play.
Yeah, I'm going Auburn as well. Like you said, they're not in the contention for a college football playoff spot, but they very well may be in the spot for a New Year's Six Bowl. There's 4-2 that could finish the season at 8-2.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially if you either a Georgia or a Florida start to slip up. You're at 24, you're well within striking range, and you just have to keep winning.
Yeah.
I got Auburn on this one. They played some close games this year, but it'll be a blowout. I think Tennessee just plays terrible teams, and the only teams they beat was Missouri and who was the other one?
Mizzou and
Something.
it was a smaller SEC school. I don't remember who.
Mm.
But yeah, they've only beat bad schools, so I think that Auburn's going to get the huge win this week.
All right, here's the big question. We know Tennessee fans are real excited, a little hot-tempered. Do they ask for the coach to be fired after a loss this week?
Oh, I'm sure they've been calling for the coach to be fired.
Yeah, I think Rocky Top is going to be screaming fire him, even though this is probably his first or second season.
They're just as bad as Texas.
Yeah. We're horrible. We need a new coach. And it's like, you got to let him build. Let him build. But yeah, I do think this is going to be whenever we start seeing Tennessee fans get vocal about firing a coach, even though he's probably only been in the program for less than 2 years and can't really build a system yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up, we got Mississippi State at Georgia. I think Mississippi State, they have no ground game. That is a big issue, having absolutely no ground game. I think Georgia knows that. And I think that's all they did during practice was, hey, we're going to work on our secondary. You're going to work on covering the pass. And I think that they got it locked down, and they're going to get a win this week. I think it's going to help their case of getting one of those bigger games in the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But I'm going to take the Bulldogs winning this week.
I'm taking the Bulldogs as well. I don't see how Mississippi State can keep up with the Bulldogs, especially with Georgia's really vying for a New Year's Six bowl. So they really got to keep showing that, hey, we're worth watching and we're worth the bowl game. So I think I got Georgia here. Again, it's a very similar matchup to the Auburn-Tennessee game where you got one team that's really vying for a bowl game and one that pretty much the season's over before it ever began. So I got Georgia.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that is the air raid experiment over before it begins. I don't know. I'm taking Georgia big, and I think that lack of ground game hurts you. I don't know if the SEC has figured it out, but they're certainly playing it better than the Big 12 has. And Kylan Hill opting out of the season, that hurts you a lot. Even if you're not using him, he's still a premier back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Georgia will get the win. I think that loss to Florida really hurt, but I think this will be a good game to get their rankings up.
All right. So next up, we got Oklahoma State at OU. I'm going to trust that beautiful mullet like I always do. This game looks like it could be a toss-up. I think Chuba Hubbard needs to be heard. He has been so quiet this season compared to last year. And I think if he doesn't step up this week, he's probably not going to make the draft, or if he does, he's going to be very late in the rounds. He is not looking like what he did last year. If he shows up, I think that it is locked up, put away. Oklahoma State wins this. If he is playing like how he has this year, I think it's going to be a close one, but I'm still going to take Oklahoma State getting this as the upset of the week. Oklahoma is, I think, a 6-point favorite, which is hard to believe seeing as Oklahoma State is the higher ranked. They do have, I think, some better wins. But I'm going to take Oklahoma State and that beautiful mullet winning it this week.
So the spread actually jumped to a 7-point favorite for Oklahoma.
Okay.
Shocking. I agree. Yet, so they're a 7-point favorite, but they have a 75% chance of winning this one.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to me. I'm going to take Oklahoma here. I think Pledger for Oklahoma is really sitting here going like all the talks about Chuba Hubbard and what he can do and what he's going to be, but no one's talking about me. And so I think that's really where he's going to be like, you know what, give me that ball and I'm running downhill all game. I got Oklahoma in the upset. I think this is definitely going to be the game to watch at 7:30 tonight.
Wait, who became the favorite?
Oklahoma is the favorite. They're a 7-point favorite and a 75% chance to win.
I saw last night, I was like, Oklahoma State's the underdog. This is going to be my upset.
Yeah, they are, despite being 14.
I'm saying upset based on rank.
Okay. Okay.
Based on rank. That's the only upset I'm looking at.
I'm taking Oklahoma State. I think their defense is a little better than Oklahoma right now, even though the Big 12
that doesn't mean a lot. Yeah.
I was going to say, what are you talking about? Is that even a measure?
The Big 12 is like, we tried. It's like that half by toilet paper you get at the gas station. I tried stopping it. I didn't do anything, but I tried.
I think they really have to start kicking Hubbard in the pants saying, hey, you got to get going. We're going to feed you. I think that's what they do. They will try to get him started because it's not just about this game. It's about making a push for the New Year's Six and maybe the college football playoffs if you win the Big 12.
Which is why I think TJ Pledger for Oklahoma is really vying for that, because they're like, all the talks about Chuba Hubbard here, but what about me?
You're getting brushed underneath the rug, and
my numbers are just as good as his, and our team is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big game for Hubbard to step up. I think they really need to get him the touches he deserves and the ones he's been going for. I think that Oklahoma State wins it in a close one.
All right.
I got Oklahoma State. This is my upset of the week because Chuba Hubbard will run all over the Sooners defense. Go Mullets.
All right.
Ow.
All right. So next up, we got Liberty at NC State. This is the second time this season Liberty has played a team with a winning record. And I think what we saw last time with Virginia Tech, they barely won that. They got a last-second field goal. I think that NC State is going to be able to do what Virginia Tech couldn't, and I think that they are going to take Liberty out of the picture. I think that they get the win. It's going to be real close, like a field goal probably, but I think they get the win, and Liberty just gets bumped out of the rankings here. They're not having enough quality wins. Yeah, you had Virginia Tech win, but it's not enough quality wins. You're not in a conference. This is going to be enough to, I think, take you out. So I'm going to take the Wolfpack winning it this week.
Exactly. Neither team plays defense here. They're all about the offensive schemes. I think this is definitely going to be a battle of who can score 40 points first. Whoever does that wins. I truly believe that it's going to end up being Liberty winning that one. So they're going to score 40 first. It's going to be coming down to like the third quarter. Who's going to score that next touchdown? I got Liberty. I think this could also be a great drinking game at 7:30 tonight, because this game could just be an ugly game. A lot of turnovers, a lot of just bad football.
Yeah.
I'm taking Liberty as well. They won. They're 8-0. They won against Virginia Tech, albeit the field goal. They found a way to win. And Malik Willis, the Auburn transfer, has been just a delight to watch. He's so good at I think he's very NFL ready. He may not be in the Heisman contender. He may not be asked to be there, but I think he is putting on for the NFL right now. All right. I think he's one of the most NFL ready quarterbacks in the draft.
All right. Sorry, Andrew, but I'm going with Liberty. They really showed that they could win the tough game, but I think it'll be a cakewalk for them this week.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all really are saying, like, your definition of a tough game, Brady. I don't know. Virginia Tech's your toughest game, and you barely won that one. So, all right, so I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. Next up, we got USC at Utah. This is Utah's first game this year, and I think that first game is always going to be knock off the rust, work out your kinks, and that's going to hurt you. USC already has 2 wins under their belt, and I think they get another one in the books this week. Fun fact, USC makes terrible NFL quarterbacks. Mark Sanchez, there's the butt fumble. This season, Sam Darnold would be just as good as if he just took the ball and spiked it every play as what he's playing now. That is his QBR, is take the ball and spike it, versus what he's actually doing is the same. So I think that they make great college quarterbacks, terrible NFL quarterbacks. So that's something I think scouts need to keep in mind, that this has now happened twice where a USC guy has gone so early in the draft but puts up nothing. He's essentially a disappointment to a franchise. Both were taken by the Jets too, oddly enough. But that could be indicative of the problem, is that they're going to the Jets. But I do think that this is an issue where they are prepared for college, but whenever you get to the NFL, it's a whole different scheme and it's a whole different play style, and I don't think that they're ready for that. But they're able to exploit that college so well. I think USC as a college gets a win very easy this week.
I think this is easily a USC win. I mean, there's just no question about it. I do think Kendon Slavis, he's been playing well at quarterback, but like you said, the USC is known for creating great, college quarterbacks, much like Ohio State, but very average NFL quarterbacks. And we've seen it over and over and over again. But I think USC wins big.
All right.
I'm taking Utah this week. They're coming off a season last year where they defied a lot of expectations. And USC, they've won, but they've won ugly. I know I say a lot that finding ways to win is important, but there is a large amount of luck playing in there. That should have been a pick six, game over. It slips right through his hands. I don't know if that's finding a way to win rather than having it fall
Divine
into your
intervention,
lap.
maybe.
Yeah. Having that win fall right into your lap. I think their luck may run out against an Oregon team that hasn't played a game this season,
Utah?
but is still. Oh, did I say Oregon?
Yeah.
Yeah, against a Utah team that has not played a game this season, but they're still looking to become one of the premier Pac-12 teams, one of the newer teams in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
All right. I got USC. They'll play some defense and make some great plays on offense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now we're on to the big game of the week. OSU and Indiana. This is a number 3 versus a number 9. This is, I think, the big show that everyone should have on their TVs this week.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a really quality game out of both teams. And I think it's going to – OSU's going to pull away with it. Justin Fields has a near-perfect passer rating, and I think he keeps that rolling through this week. I think that defense may let up a little bit more than what they're used to. But I think OSU gets the win. I'm expecting Master Teague to have a big week this week like he did last week. Give me the Buckeyes with a big win this week.
Master Teague is also another running back who's really trying to say, hey, look at me too. You know, yeah, he gets a little more attention than some other guys, but I think he's really sitting there going like, hey, I know you guys are talking about Justin Fields a lot, but hey, look at me. I'm a heck of a running back, and I have a lot of yards, a lot of carries, 4 TDs only, but I think he can double that this week almost.
Yeah.
But I think Indiana scores first. Ohio State takes off from there, wins big.
I'm also taking Ohio State, but I still don't buy this 20-point over. I don't buy it's going to be a blowout. I think this is a measuring stick game, just like Northwestern, Wisconsin. I think Indiana's played some real teams, but this is by far the hardest they will play. And honestly, this could be a Big Ten championship implication this year.
Yeah.
All right. Ohio State with the win. I think this will be their big game. And I think that they'll show everyone that they deserve that number 1 ranking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Justin Fields will have a good impact on the game.
All right. OSU across the board. All right. One little thing from last night. Syracuse-Louisville went 30-0, and Syracuse put up 130 yards on offense.
Oh.
I was like, how do you 130?
Mm-hmm.
And they go 1 for 10 on 3rd down, 0 for 2 on 4th down. I was like, oh boy, that is Syracuse needs to get it together. And like you said last night, that Purdue Minnesota game, that was maybe a controversial call, but damn, it was a good one to watch.
It reminds me of that Boise State game last week where they put up 30.5 with like 100 yards of offense because they had 2 punt blocks and a field goal returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, sometimes it's those little things that help you out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this week Friday night there was the close Purdue Minnesota game. Syracuse doesn't put up any points. UMass puts up 2 points, and New Mexico puts up 0 points. There are three games where there was under a field goal scored.
Hey, if you can ever have your defense score you offensive points, that is a big
That is the goal to have your
absolutely.
defense helping you score points.
Yeah.
Had anyone watched the Tulane-Tulsa game?
I was unable to see it.
It was 0-0 halfway through the 3rd, 3-0 going into the 4th. It ends up a double overtime game. Let me get this right. It ends up a double overtime game, 30-24.
Yeah, second OT, there's a pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
For
and with a pick
yards.
6 to end the game. It also ended with a 40-yard Hail Mary or a 50-yard Hail Mary from Tulsa's 3rd string quarterback.
Yeah, you know that guy that got the pick 6 grabbing the oxygen tank at the end of the game.
Yeah. So that may.
How far did I go? That's too far.
Tulsa, it was an ugly win, but they'll stay ranked, and it will be interesting to see if Zach Smith is able to come back because they do have a big game on the rise with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the game to watch next week.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, yeah. Yeah, there are going to be some big games coming up that I think people aren't going to be paying attention to that are going to have a lot of heavier implications than what they think. And with Thanksgiving coming up this week, it's definitely going to be odd with the college football scheme. There are a couple games on Thursday, along with your big 3 NFL games. And thank you for listening. Remember to join us next week for the Power 10 Sports Talk for Week 13. Remember to like, comment, follow, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch. Any of that really helps us out. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.